good morning, or good night, good afternoon. What time you go to work today, whether you driving a truck, whatever it is, man, I told you guys, man, I made this thing to give us some motivation, man, while we working, while we on our way to work. Hey, man, some of y'all may listen to this while you're at work, while you're driving, whatever it is. But, man, definitely take the time to listen, because I definitely do think about what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, what I'm going to say, to really, because it's all about the mindset, man. It's all about changing that old mindset and our old perspective on how we look at work. And one thing that I wanted to say is, and today, because the reason why I didn't do the one yesterday was because I wanted to make sure that what I wanted to talk about today was good, and I didn't want it to be rushed. But today, we have to, as associates, we're all associates, wherever you're working, whether it's Publix, Swift, CR England, whatever you're working for, whoever you're working for, you're an associate, right? And a lot of times, sometimes as associates, or even sometimes as leaders, we have a mindset that this is not my business. This is, for some of us that work for Walmart, this is Walmart. Some of us that work for McDonald's, Wawa, Residence Inn, a hotel. This is not my business, or whatever. What I want to encourage you guys with today is, remember, everything's about mindset, right? Perspective. You got to change your mindset from, I'm just an associate, correct? You got to change that mindset from that to, oh, this is my business. The reason why I say that is because if we have a business mindset while we're working, the work, not just the work ethic, but having that business mindset will get you to understand the things that we should be asking are, how is the business running? What are we doing? What does budget look like? All these things. What affects a budget? What goes into shrink? Like, some of these things that I think, if you think about these things as an associate, you would do your job even way better, because you have an understanding that what I do can affect my raises. What I do can affect the store. And this is just not for the person that's listening. This is for the whole store. Just imagine if we had people that had a mindset to understand that if they take on that mindset as, this is my business, this is my store, that whatever we do affects the store, then watch this, raises will come. All these things, man, whether you want barbecues and snacks and all these things that come out of a store's budget, because you got to think about it as like, if you're a person that's paying rent, and if you're paying rent for something or a mortgage on something, don't you have a budget for your rent? Even though you make a certain amount of money, you have a budget. And if you have children, you also understand that, oh man, I can't just go and buy everything, right? Even though you just got paid, you have to put money aside, right, for rent. And then you have to be careful with how we spend the money that we are going to spend, on groceries, electricity, whatever these things are. We have to be careful, guys, how we're going to spend the money. It's the same thing when it comes to where you're working. If you're working with a whole bunch of people that are just saying, well, it's Public's job, it's not our job. If you're working with people that don't understand the business side of the business, and you're wondering why you can't get new equipment, and you're wondering why all these things. Well, let's start looking at what's going into the budget. Let's start looking at, man, why are we losing money on certain ends? You got to start thinking like that and changing your perspective on why maybe they might be cutting back on some things. And for some of us, we need to go as associates, leaders, and for associates to really ask, right? Maybe go to HR and or whoever your AP is, and ask them, like, why, like, how can I help make the store better? What can I do other than just stocking, according to how can we help with the numbers? And when you guys start understanding that this whole thing is a numbers game, then you'll understand, oh man, well, the next question is, well, what do I need to do to affect the numbers? Or what are we doing that are affecting the numbers? I remember, when my AP started kind of teaching me the business side, and my whole mind changed. I started to, when I saw something break, I looked at it as, wow, that's coming out of the budget. That's bad. That's not good. But other people were just like, oh, they'll fix it, because some people just assume that this store is making millions of dollars and they got the money, but they don't realize they're on a budget. They're on a budget. And if we're spending above the budget, well, guess what? Good luck with your equipment being fixed. Good luck with having some of the things that you need to have. Remember, they still got to pay the electricity. They still got to pay the plumbing. Just like you still got to pay your electric at your house. Just like you still got to pay the plumber to come fix it. Just because the store or wherever you're working is making a certain amount of money doesn't give the associates or the leaders the right to just be lazy and just break everything up, because we're just assuming. We look at that one big number. Oh, they made $54 million this year. I wonder how much of that 54 million did they actually make, and not just total income, but as profit. Because after you, like I said, we all have homes, we all have rent. Some of us get paid $3,500. Okay, you got paid $3,500. How much of that $3,500 went into paying the rent and all these expenses first? So those are things that we got to think about as associates. I'm telling you guys, whoever really takes this advice, I'm telling you, to change your mindset, to change your perspective on how you look at it. Even if you're just an associate, even as leaders, to understand, like, man, I'm telling you, man, if you guys have an AP side, understand the AP. Ask your AP questions. Ask them questions like, how do we go about doing this, and why do we do it, right? What's the reason why? What is this stopping if I do this? What is it stopping if I do this process? So now you have an understanding. You have a why on why you're doing it. You understand. So now, for those of us that are leaders, you could teach your associates, hey man, this is why we get it done. Hey, look, that 35 cent that you get pissed off about at the end of the year can be $1, can be $2. We can offer you more now if we start worrying about our expenses and how the money's coming out. So I just want to encourage you guys, man, to really, let's go ahead and we gonna blow a whistle on that old mindset. We gonna blow a whistle on that old mindset. And because we blew a whistle on that old mindset, we're gonna go ahead and start to, it takes 21 days to break a habit, right? But also, we're gonna bringing in this new mindset is going to take some execution. It's gonna take some thoughtful process to say, you know what? I'm not just an associate. I'm not just an associate for those of us that are associates. I'm a leader. For those of us that are leaders, that we have to change the mindset on how we begin to look at these things, okay? It's so important that we do that. So now when we get to this point, we are not sitting here like Boo-Boo the fool and trying to figure out why things are going. Because I'm telling you, you got a lot of people that we work with today, and some of that could be because they don't care. But also at the same time, some of this can be because of the fact that that at the end of the day, they don't know. They just assume that, they made $300,000 this year, and they just assume that was their profit. They're not looking at what comes out of it. They're not looking at those things. They just assuming, this store makes so much money. No, it's our job as leaders, and like I said, even if you are an associate, to go and teach about these things. And there's no excuse for the people that feel like, I can't find, no one's going to teach me that. No, sometimes you got to go out of your box. You got to embrace a little change, and you got to ask questions. Like, I remember a perfect example. I was asking this lady that does the schedules, and I said, I don't understand how the schedules go. It don't make sense. Like, if you got over 100 hours, you said, or however how much, that's just an example for the total store, right? Whatever. I don't understand how you can't hire anybody. And then she explained it to me. See, sometimes you just got to ask questions. She's like, no, each department is eluded by market a certain amount of hours. And if that department on Saturday is already over those hours, I can't hire or bring anybody in because you guys are, see, I didn't know that. So now when people are talking like, she just needs to hire, and I'm like, well, shoot. And then, now I can tell people like, no, the reason why she can't really hire for our department because we don't have the hours or whatever. So, and sometimes we may not have the hours. Why? Because people committing overtime or because we got too many full-time associates. So now what has to happen is that the full-time associates that we do have need to show up for work and start calling out. You see, we don't realize it's a lot of these little details, right, that affect the day-to-day basis of a business. So, like I said, we got to start having this mindset when we go to work, to not just know that you are an associate, but to have a business mindset, man. We blowing the whistle on that old perspective. We blowing the whistle on that old mindset. I like another term, man. You know what? We gonna go ahead and put a pin in it. Man, hold on. Just hold that thought on that old mindset and put a pin in it and pop it. And you know what? We gonna blow up a new one. We gonna blow up a new one to start thinking about this thing as a business. I promise you, if you start taking this thing on like it's your own business, you're going to grow so much within your company. Your management, if you're an associate, they're going to start looking at you like this man is ready for leadership. For the leaders, you're going to go higher because you're starting to understand, my God, I got to fix these things to do this. I got to do that. And because you have that business mindset, they're going to start looking at you to even go higher in the place. So, man, I encourage y'all, man. I love y'all. Have a good day. To have that business mindset.